Can I be honest with you about something? Not the polished version. Not the version where I have it all figured out and I am standing here with perfect hair telling you what to do. The real version. The one that actually happened. A few years ago, I was standing at my bathroom vanity on a Sunday afternoon, trying to do a simple twist out. Nothing complicated. Something I had done hundreds of times. And my fingers kept catching. Not from a tangle, but from something different. Something that made my stomach drop. The texture at my crown had shifted. Quietly, without asking my permission, it had become something I did not recognize. Drier, finer. The strands were snapping at the slightest pressure. My edges, which had always been my most reliable section, looked like they had quietly retreated overnight. I stood there holding a small handful of broken hair, and I felt something I was not expecting to feel. Grief, honestly. That is the only word for it, because it was not just about hair. It was the realization that something had changed in my body, and nobody had warned me it was coming. Not in the way it needed to be said, and I went through what I imagine a lot of you have gone through. The self-questioning, the product buying, the frantic Googling at 2 in the morning, the wondering whether I had done something wrong somewhere along the way. I had not, and neither have you. What I was experiencing was biology, plain and simple. When we cross into our 50s, the sebaceous glands, the glands responsible for producing our scalp's natural oil, slow down significantly. Estrogen drops, and the actual physical diameter of each individual hair strand becomes finer than it used to be. This is not a personal failing. It is not neglect. It is your body moving into a new season, and a new season requires a new approach. That is what I want to talk to you about today. Not a 10-step routine you will abandon by Thursday. Not a product recommendation wrapped in affiliate links. A real conversation between two women who are navigating this same territory, one of whom has made enough mistakes to know what actually works. So pull up a chair, let us get into it. The first thing I had to unlearn. For a long time, longer than I would like to admit, I kept doing what I had always done. The same thick butters, the same heavy petroleum-based products I had used since I was in my 20s. I piled them on because somewhere along the way, I had absorbed the idea that moisture meant heavy, that if my hair felt coated, it was being cared for. What I was actually doing was suffocating a scalp that was already working overtime, while my hair remained thirsty underneath all of that product. The water my strands desperately needed was literally bouncing off the surface because I had sealed it out before it ever got in. Here is the image that finally made it click for me. Think about a dry kitchen sponge. If you pour oil directly onto a dry sponge, it does not absorb. It sits on top. Your mature hair does exactly the same thing. When your hair feels like straw, it is not asking for grease. It is asking for water. When I finally changed my approach, I stopped reaching for anything heavy first. I started treating hydration as a two-part process. Water goes in first, pure water, or a lightweight aloe vera-based leave-in, something that can actually penetrate that finer, more porous, mature strand. Then, and only then, do I seal with a lightweight oil, jojoba, grapeseed, a few drops, not a handful. Just enough to hold the moisture inside the strand without closing the door on the scalp that needs to breathe. It felt counterintuitive at first. I kept reaching for what felt familiar, but within a few weeks, the difference was noticeable enough that I stopped second-guessing it. Then, there was the tension problem. This one took me longer to accept. We love our protective styles. Box braids, knotless styles, sleek wigs, neat updos. They are convenient and beautiful, and part of how many of us move through our days without spending an hour on our hair every morning. I am not here to take that away from you. But I have to tell you something that I had to learn the hard way, and I want you to hear it before you have to learn it the same way I did. A few years ago, I took down a set of twists that had looked beautifully neat going in. They were tight at the hairline. the way I thought a good style was supposed to be installed. When I took them down, my edges were sparse, tender, and visibly stressed. Not from the style being too long, from the tension. I panicked and bought everything. Growth serums, edge control with biotin, you name it. None of it did what I needed it to do. And the reason was simple. I had not removed the cause of the problem. I kept installing tight styles while trying to treat the damage those tight styles were creating. Nothing can outwork that cycle. Not a single product on any shelf. Here is what nobody tells us enough. Our follicles after 50 are simply more delicate than they were at 30. The anchoring system is not as tenacious as it once was. When a braider pulls your edges tight enough to lift your eyebrows, or when your ponytail is so taut your temples ache by midday, those fragile follicles are not being protected. They are being starved of blood flow. And a follicle that is not receiving adequate circulation is a follicle that will eventually stop producing. What genuinely protective styling looks like at this stage is bigger sections, zero tension along the hairline, and real rest periods between installations. Not a week off, real rest. Multiple weeks where your scalp can breathe, your follicles can recover, and your edges can be treated like the delicate, precious things they are. During those rest periods, I started treating my scalp the way I treat the skin on my face. A 5-minute nightly massage with a lightweight oil. Not drowning the scalp, just fingertip pressure, gentle circular motions, working from the nape upward to the crown. It is not glamorous. It is not a viral moment, but consistent scalp stimulation increases blood circulation to the follicle, and blood circulation is how growth happens. That simple practice, done regularly, did more for my edges than anything I bought during my panic phase. If what I am sharing is landing for you today, I want to invite you to subscribe to Ebony Aura if you have not already. This is not a generic beauty channel. This is a space where we have these specific, honest conversations, the kind where somebody tells you the truth about what is actually happening and what has actually worked. Come and be part of it, now. The silver transition, because this one catches people off guard in a completely different way. When your hair stops producing melanin and begins to go silver or gray, most people think about color. What they do not think about is that the melanin was doing more than giving the hair its color. It was actively protecting the hair shaft from environmental stress, from UV rays, from the kind of damage that accumulates quietly over years. When the melanin goes, that protection goes with it, and the strand that remains is more vulnerable, more prone to dryness, to brittleness, to going yellow or brassy, to feeling wiry and difficult to manage. I remember a conversation I had with a woman who was fighting her silver hair with everything she had. Flat ironing it every single week, pressing it into submission, wondering why it looked progressively more fried and lifeless no matter what heat protectant she used. She thought her hair was ruined by age. She was ready to just keep dyeing it forever because at least that felt manageable. What I told her, gently but directly, was that the heat was the problem. Silver hair does not hate heat because it is old. It hates heat because it no longer has the defense system it used to have. You are applying the same level of heat to a strand that now has significantly less protection than it did before. The damage accumulates faster and is harder to recover from. When you lean into your silver rather than fighting it, the routine has to shift to match what the hair actually needs now. Regular clarifying washes to lift out the hard water minerals and environmental buildup that make silver look dull and brassy rather than luminous. Steam treatments, not just deep conditioning. Steam opens the cuticle in a way that allows moisture to penetrate more deeply than a regular conditioner sitting on top ever could. And when silver hair is genuinely, deeply hydrated, not just surface-coated, it stops behaving like a problem. It falls into place with a luster that honestly surprises you the first time you see it. Let me ask you something, and I want you to sit with it honestly. How many products are sitting in your bathroom right now that you bought out of frustration? How many of them did you try for 2 weeks before moving on to the next recommendation? I have been there. The counter covered in bottles, each one the thing that was going to fix it, and none of them doing what the packaging promised. Here is what I know now that I did not know 10 years ago. The products were never the problem. The approach was the problem. The problem was treating a shifting biology with a static routine, expecting a body that had changed to respond to a system that had not. True length retention after 50 is not about finding the right product. It is about consistency over time, gentleness in practice, and a willingness to pay attention to what your hair is actually telling you rather than what you assumed it needed. Your hair is not failing you. It is not punishing you. It is communicating with you. Breakage is feedback. Dryness is a request. Tension headaches from your style are a warning. The question is whether you are listening. When you start approaching your hair care as an act of genuine self-respect, as something you do with care and attention rather than something you do frantically to fix a flaw, everything shifts. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. And intentional care, applied consistently over time, is the only thing that has ever actually worked. I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what has been the most frustrating part of your hair journey in the last few years? What was the lesson you had to learn the hard way? Not the polished version, the real one, because the most valuable thing in this community is not my experience alone. It is all of ours together. If this conversation gave you something, a shift in perspective, a specific thing to try, or even just the relief of knowing someone else has stood in front of that bathroom mirror feeling exactly what you have felt, share it with a woman in your life who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Ebony Aura if you have not already. We are here every week having exactly these kinds of conversations, the honest ones, the specific ones, the ones that treat you like the intelligent, capable, deeply worthy woman you are. Until next time, your crown is not declining, it is evolving. And there is a significant difference between those two things. Take care of it gently, wear it proudly, and I will see you in the next one.